So I really wanted to speak on the topic of projection today because this is something that a lot of people do unknowingly, and it usually stems from something that the person isn't ready to yet face or deal with internally, so they deflect it onto someone else. It also does happen to be a psychological defense mechanism, and there are different forms of projection. So today I'm going to give some insight onto each type, as well as how to spot it from somebody else as well as within ourselves. So if you're interested, let's get into it. Hi loves, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new. My name is Tyla. Thanks so much for joining me today. It is Talk with Ty Tuesday, and this is a series where every Tuesday I pick a topic and we just go in deep and we have a little chat. So today is all about projection, and I really wanted to bring this topic up, especially when it comes to being on my healing journey. This was something that I really noticed that not only I experienced within myself, but I started to be able to pinpoint when somebody was projecting onto me. Now, the reason why it's so important to be able to spot when someone is projecting onto you is because it'll help you to know within yourself that you are not the problem within a certain situation, or to be able to make your own decisions as well. A lot of projection really comes from the fact that there is a lack of healing or a lack of inner resolve when it comes to how a person may feel about themselves, how a person may feel about the world. So what will usually happen is a person will often project those inner conflicts onto somebody else. So since projection is a psychological defense mechanism, it's usually a way that people address a certain experience without actually resolving that inner conflict. So projection can stem from numerous things. It can be feelings of inadequacy within ourselves. It can be feelings of needing to be in control or jealousy, anger, and it also can stem from mental health disorders such as paranoia. So paranoia can also stem from trauma and PTSD, and any form of projection really does stem from trauma, but paranoia is a form of projection in which your mistrust of others can cause you to view innocent people as a harm or threat. Now, when you are at this point where you do have a paranoia or just trust issues, or you have some form of trauma and PTSD when it comes to being involved with others, it will cause you to question things that other people do and to question what they're saying, their intentions, and usually this will cause a lot of projections onto that person. A really good example of this is being in a toxic or unhealthy relationship. So say that you're in a relationship with someone and you are completely loyal, you are good to that person, and you're doing everything that you need to fulfill their needs within that connection. But for some reason, they're always hinting that you may be cheating on them or hinting that you're not being who you say that you are. This is a form of projection. So that form of projection usually stems from trauma that may have happened in a past relationship. So they may have experienced something to where they put their trust in someone and they got betrayed and misled. So now they project that onto other people because they feel as though the next person is going to do the same thing. Another great example is if you have ever told someone about something that you're planning to do and you're really excited about it and you have all of these great ideas, but for some reason when you bring it up to that person, they start telling you about all the ways that it wouldn't work out or how it could go wrong, and you start thinking to yourself, maybe they're right, maybe they do have a point, maybe I needed to plan a little more, or maybe this really isn't for me, maybe I'm just thinking too much, maybe I'm doing too much. That is also a really harmful form of projection that I want you guys to be aware of, because a lot of times people have tried certain things and they've done certain things, it didn't work out for them, so then they tend to project that onto other people when they see that that person is going after something. Just because something may not work for someone else doesn't mean that it wouldn't work for you. Now, being able to self-reflect will really help you to notice when you are projecting onto someone else, which is really important to be aware of as well, so that you make sure that you're not putting your trauma onto somebody. So say that you're talking to a friend and they're mentioning something that happened and it was something that was super cringy and they got secondhand embarrassment and they were just so shocked by whatever happened, and you start feeling as though they're talking about you because you did something similar to whatever that person may have done, but that friend may not even know about your experience with doing that. So then you start feeling as though you are being ridiculed, you're being embarrassed and shamed because you did the same thing, not knowing and understanding that that person isn't necessarily talking about you, but it just resonates with you. A good example of this is the term, if the shoe fits, wear it. A lot of times people will get offended and they will project things onto you because of the fact that it does actually apply to them when it was never intended to hurt you or hurt that person in the first place. It's so important to be aware and conscious to things like this, because a lot of times people will put their projections onto you and make you have limiting beliefs that you never really had before, all because of a projection. And I also want to put you guys on to a form of projection that a lot of people are actually not aware about, and this is something that I also learned. So say that you, for the most part, have a lot of optimistic thoughts, you're a positive person, you think positively, and you're just focused on your life, you're present, and you're doing the things that you need to do for yourself. And say that you have people that you know aren't necessarily wishing you the best or don't have the best intentions for you, and you're just going about your day, you're doing your daily thing, and all of a sudden you just start getting overwhelming feelings of inadequacy or insecurities. You start doubting yourself, you start feeling like giving up, and you just come into this really confusing energy all of a sudden. What happens is, if that person does have those negative thoughts and intentions towards you, and they are feeling that way, they are thinking that way or speaking that way about you, you will pick up on that energetically, and it will cause you to have a lot of doubts, and you won't always understand as to where that energy is coming from, but it's a projection from someone else. It's kind of like when you're thinking about someone and then all of a sudden they text you as you're thinking about them, or they call you. A lot of times we do pick up on those signals energetically, and we don't always understand where it's coming from, and it's not always our thoughts and our energy. So it's really important to decipher where those projections are coming from. If you feel like it's coming from an outside source, or if you're feeling like it's coming from certain things that you have to heal within yourself. So some signs that someone is projecting onto you is if someone is making a lot of accusations, are extremely defensive, or overly critical. And when it comes to the mental health aspect of projections, it usually stems from anxiety, depression, borderline personality disorder, narcissism, and antisocial personality traits. Now, some key tips in order to stop projecting or acknowledge when somebody is projecting onto you is to become conscious in the moment of your emotions and what you're feeling. So when it comes to you projecting onto somebody else, the next time that you experience something or you see something online, you're having a conversation with someone, and they bring up something that triggers you in a negative way, instead of lashing out or immediately responding back in a negative way, ask yourself, is it really about what the person said or about the person, or is it something deeper that's going on within myself? Naturally, when someone is insecure or just has certain qualities about themselves that they know that they lack, and they see somebody with those attributes and those characteristics, they're naturally going to feel inadequate, they're going to feel jealous, and they're going to feel inferior. So this is usually why people will start to say negative things, or they'll start taking it out on the other person, when in reality it's just about identifying the things within yourself that need to be fixed. Now, if you're on the opposite end and you experience somebody projecting onto you, make sure that you are acknowledging that that accusation or whatever it is that that person is saying has nothing to do with you, and it's just something that they have to deal with internally. A lot of the times when people project onto us, we think that there's something wrong with us, and we think that we're lacking something, instead of acknowledging the fact that some people just don't know how to handle certain issues, so they put it onto other people. So it really just comes down to self-reflection, because most people do not take the time to self-reflect or to do that introspection. So make sure that you are constantly acknowledging your fears, your faults, your insecurities, the things that you do not feel confident within. And once you start to get to know yourself more, you start to see those projections a lot easier, because you can decipher between your feelings and emotions and the other person's. When you do have some form of insecurities within yourself, and this was something that I really had to overcome, I fell into those projections a lot easier because I didn't fully know myself. So when somebody would project onto me and say certain negative things about me, or do certain things to me and treat me a certain way that I knew that I didn't necessarily deserve, I would still take that treatment, and I would still take that projection on and allow it to just take form of my identity in a sense, because I didn't fully know who I was. So I thought, maybe they're right, maybe I am this, maybe I am that. It wasn't until I started healing the things within myself that I started to really have more confidence in who I am. And it became a lot easier for me to notice when someone was projecting onto me, because I started to understand that whatever it was that they were saying was not even true. So that is it for this video, you guys. I do hope that you enjoyed and found it very useful. If you did, share with somebody else that you feel may benefit. Subscribe to stay tuned for more, and give this video a thumbs up. I will see you guys in my next one. Peace and much love.